Hello, everybody. Welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble and on Patreon for extra support. Any kind of updates and such, I usually go about on tracks. And I did miss out Friday, if not mistaken, in terms of gaming news program. But I did manage to publish consistently so far 3 episodes per week from the Midnight Suns gaming series. I will be continuing to do 3 per week. So Monday today, Wednesday, and Friday, I will be able to publish them. But I did also manage during the weekend, or at least when the same day that the Altars demo came out, I did manage to play around with that demo, and I already published that video. Again, just a quick reminder that I've been doing some perusing around on my wish list and games that I'm interested. And when I see the demos coming out from them, I will try to play them as soon as I can, and at least make a video about it. Usually, I've been managing to go throughout the entirety of the demo availability to see how it feels the game, depending on the game, of course, the combat and all that stuff, and the gameplays, and if it seems a little or not optimized as it is. But yeah, I did manage to play around 1 hour and a half of the Alters demo. Very interested. It uplift a little bit more the hype and the excitement that I have for this game, but always be cautious. Again, it's a demo, but at least we have a better idea when we can experiment with the software itself, or in this case, the demo of the game, instead of trying to be dependent on previews from sites like IGNs and Kotakus and all that jazz. I really do prefer, and I think it's a better consumer practice if the all the developers before launching the game can at least I don't know, 3 months or something like that, can launch a demo so people can try it out. And I think it's a better showcase of the game itself than trying to be dependent on other people's feedback, and show that feedback to the customer base, which in this case is gamers. But yeah, I will try to continue as best as I can. Again, live streams is a little bit finicky, trying to get around and have a decent and consistent schedule for that. But at least I got some completed gameplay series. In 4K are the most recent ones, and the older ones before the interruption of of having a PC and getting out of the country. I've got the in 1080p, and again, I will eventually go about and replay some of these games because it's been a while. And yeah, basically this is it in terms of the channel updates. One more thing before I forget. Due to the fact that recently I got the Windows updated, and I got still trying to go around and tweak around the audio levels. Any kind of feedback regarding the audio on all videos is very much appreciated, so I can take that feedback in account and try to improve it. But yeah, other than that, it's more about the audio regarding my voice and the microphone that I use, and the software associated with it. So the more feedback that I can have, the better, so I can implement any kind of improvements that I can on the audio. But yeah, other than that, let's go to news. I missed at least a couple of days. Let's go to something some stuff that interested me. We got at this moment a little bit of a preview peek. It's some leaks regarding synthetic benchmarks from the B580 from Intel. It seems more fast than a 4060 and the 76XT in Vulkan benchmarks. Again, these are synthetic benchmarks. Vulkan is the ones that usually it's the one of the game engines that uses this is the id Software game engine uses Vulkan. But yeah, it doesn't mean that it's performing better in real life scenarios on the games, but at least it's something that might have a rough idea here. It performs a little bit better between, depending on the GPU itself, between 19 and 7%. So given that I think the main competition that is trying to aim for the B580 is the 4060, 7%. It's almost in a margin of error when it comes to benchmark. We don't know exactly the conditions of this benchmark in the sense that how many runs that they did and all that jazz to give us a better, proper idea. But again, there are the system specs here. Got the Ultra 9, the latest top tier Intel CPU, sorry. But yeah, we have it's just a few more days until the official reviews from this GPU come out. And I do recommend we wait for those before taking any kind of financial decision regarding GPUs. But it seems to be aiming that the fact that it doesn't, I think it's more efficient in terms of power consumption, and it seems to be in line on at least aiming to a performance roundabout a little bit up than a 4060. And if it's priced correctly, of around $250 at the current price point and the current lineup of GPUs, I think we might have a good GPU. But then again, final analysis on the reviews, I think it gives us a better idea if it is or not a good product here. I think Intel, at least on the GPU side, need a good starting point. Hopefully this is one of those, and hopefully after January, so after the B570 launch, we might have more information regarding if they are going to launch and when they are going to launch the top tier of the Battlemage series, hopefully, to try and compete in a higher performance tier. But yeah, other than that, this is what we got. It performs a little bit on Vulkan, around 7% better than the 4060. On the AMD side, we got the 9800X 3D. Supposedly is going to see more wider availability next quarter, because it seems that it's almost run out of stock, or it's available in very limited units. And usually when these kind of things happen, there is a tendency of the prices hiking up, which is not good for us. But it seems that AMD is pushing through in terms of production and distribution of the CPUs, in terms of stock availability. In terms of an opinion, depending on your case scenario, even though I don't think this is necessarily the mandated CPU to buy if you want to play games, there is other choices especially on the AMD side. We got still, I think it's almost kind of a very good price to performance CPU, which is mine, the 7700X. It has the same kind of number of cores and the 9800X3D. Again, it's a previous generation, but it performs well. Again, it all depends on the scenario. For me, it serves pretty well. I don't feel the need to upgrade the CPU anytime soon, mainly because the way I have my setup, I aim to play around 4K 60, mainly because of the type of games that I like to play. That I don't demand necessarily huge amounts of frame rates, like 300 or plus. I still have my limitations on the monitor itself. It's a 144. If I can reach that at 4K, excellent. If I cannot, my minimum, or at least my target, is always 4K 60. And this CPU that I have at this moment still performs very well. Usually it has some good price around it, from what I understand on the market outside where I am inserted here. But yeah, still the king of the CPUs, especially against this new generation Intel. And I think one of the things they did manage with the 9800X3D, and to a certain extent Zen 5, is a huge improvements on the 1% lows. So to a certain extent, even if it doesn't achieve huge amounts of uplift in performance in average frame rates, the 1% lows are improved, which to a certain extent improves the experience, because you are less likely to have like stutters and such. Again, it all depends on the optimization of each game, but as an overall aspect of the thing, you are less likely to see any kind of stuttering or underperformance, like frame time freezes with this CPU, because the 1% lows are way better. In some cases improves like almost 100% in very specific scenarios, but I think the overall performance, especially on the 1% lows are around about 20 to 30% on average, which is good to see. But yeah, so in terms of my advice here is maybe wait after Christmas again. Holidays season is high in terms of people trying to get around and upgrade their systems. If you're not in a hurry or if you're not in need or something very urgent in terms of buying new hardware, usually I recommend waiting after Christmas season is over to try and see for good deals. Usually after the announcements of certain hardware, new hardware, usually the old hardware tends to start to trickle down in terms of prices. But yeah, hopefully next year we have better, at least on the 9800 XRD, we'll see more availability in every market, because basically it basically in all markets it's a very low or it's run out of stock there. In terms of games, we got another. I missed this one. It's been a while. The new Crimson Desert gameplays boss battle. This is from X Mary boss battle. So it's kind of a magic user. Very interesting. This game it's got me interested, that's for sure. Unfortunately, we still don't have a release date for this game to have a better idea in kind of which state the game is per se. But so far, it seems pretty good. The kind of complaint per se that I can have is I'm seeing a lot of particle effects on this engine, but it seems to be playing fluid regardless. Again, at least 60 frames per second it seems to be the target on this gameplay. Very fluid, even on combat, even when you have a lot of stuff happening. This game engine seems to handle this pretty well. This is basically an open world RPG, more on the action side of things. But yeah, people try to compare this with Darks or Souls-like kind of a game. It seems to be more lined up to be a more actiony on sides of the combat there. But again, doesn't mean that you don't have to use any kind of tactics on any kind of strategy on the combat itself. It seems to be very interesting what they're trying to do here. But yeah, I really enjoyed the battles here, even on the cutscenes between the phases of the bosses. There is a lot of stuff happening there, especially in terms of the story. Again, I don't know the story. We didn't play the game, but yeah, it seems very interesting how the characters interact with each other. The only thing, again, it's sometimes the character animations when they are talking seems a little bit janky. But other than that, again, we cannot expect every game to be at least at this point a 10 out of 10. But yeah, I'm very interested and continue to follow up on this game. And yeah, it's around 7 minute boss battle. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It seems very, lack of better terms, very real of how a magic user try to overwhelm the opponent itself, because it throws a lot of like, not familiars, but little minions to try and overwhelm the gamer and the player. But yeah, it's very interesting what they are doing here. The boss battles so far are very diverse in terms of how you have to approach them. Even they are kind of the enemy bosses classes per se, and how they play are very different from each other, which gives us a little bit more variety in the diversity of how you need to use, for example, your abilities in combat, the items that you might have there to use in combat. It seems to be a pretty good showcase of what to expect on this game, at least on so far on the boss battle stuff there. In terms of exploration, we saw a little bit more on September when they launched around almost an hour of gameplay. Got a little bit more tease of the story, what it's trying to do there. And we saw a little bit of the more interactions and see how it plays out, even though in terms of system gameplays, like it seems that there's something on kind of survivability aspect of the thing, but we still didn't see any kind of inventory management, the abilities that you have and how you can use them. Again, I think they are trying to get around and tease us until I don't know when they are going to launch, but I think that they're going to try and wait for something like that to be announced more when it's close to the launch of the game there. But yeah, it's good to see that this game is providing at least some good hopes for a good open world, not action RPG, but RPG the less. But yeah, I do recommend checking out this trailer here. Then we got in the industry something very interesting. Capcom announced, I think they announced, but I think it's not the first time. I remember something similar, if not from Capcom, from another studio. Capcom announced Capcom Games Competition, basically trying to entice students to like enter in this competition to make a game or something like that using the Resident Evil engine. I always have difficulties pronouncing these two letters together. But yeah, the competition will see students create games utilizing development tools such as RE engine in a cloud environment. Basically, students will perform teams up to 20 people in which they will assign roles according to game creator job types, receive support from professional Capcom developers, and work towards creating one game in a half-year period, so 6 months. Capcom also plans to offer game production support with the opportunity for commercialization to award winners. And again, one big point here is each respective team will retain ownership and copyright of their games. Again, this is a good incentive for people that, younger people, students, of course, delve maybe for the first time in game development. At least you have this incentive that you work for something and at least you can retain some ownership and the copyrights of that work, of those works. I think it's a good incentive there. And basically the goal here is in holding this competition to strengthen the video game industry and serve as a responsible corporate citizens. This is corporate talk. And we'll continue to conduct corporate social responsibility activities going forward. Again, the most interesting thing for me is the fact that they are betting a lot, at least Capcom is betting a lot in their own engine, which I think it's good because it creates, again, on the game engine side of things, it creates more competitiveness on the market because, again, we're seeing a lot of stuff with the Unreal Engine that are, again, trying to claim the majority of the stakes there. I think these kind of companies like Capcom and bigger ones, I think, for example, Microsoft should have already started up something similar, if not in all the studios umbrellas that they have, at least on the bigger conglomerates, let's say Bethesda stuff or the ZeniMax studios, they should be working on their own proprietary engine. I'm not talking about the creation engine, which is not that good, but something on those lines. And have, for example, all the Blizzard umbrella games or the Activision studios under that umbrella working on some proprietary engines for themselves, something on those lines, so they can at least compete between each others and push forward in terms of how technology in games engines work to push themselves a little bit better. We saw this bet from Capcom starting with Resident Evil 7. And really, I really find this engine very interesting on the way they can manage to get around and have good graphic fidelity, independent of the art style, and the fact that at least from the Resident Evil games, to a certain extent from Dragon's Dogma 2, it's a little bit finicky, but also from Hunter x Hunter Wilds, even though we got the early beta stuff there. The fact that the game is the game engine seems pretty good. It lends me to believe this is a good bet for them, especially with this kind of programs to try to introduce people on the engineering side on working with this engine. It opens up the continuation of the game engine itself, because you're introducing Flash Blood on the engineering part of things and people that work on the engine. If you can create a flow throughout time to introduce fresh blood, let's say, in the pipeline, I think it's a good idea there. On other stuff, we got here where Winds Meet launches by the end of this year for PC in China and in early 2025 for iOS and Android. I really always was interested in this game. We already saw some, I think it was a video, some game developers playing the game a little bit there, exploring the inspiration for the game and some architecture stuff, if not mistaken, and some combat there. But we didn't hear too much about it afterwards. It seems that it's having a more focus on the Chinese market in terms of launching, because this is only for China, the December 27 launch. I'm not sure if it is something kind of in the beta state or something like that, or a closed. I think it's a closed release for the market there. Maybe they will try and pick that feedback and improve the game to launch when it's going to launch on the wider market. But yeah, supposedly it's still going to launch next year for PlayStation and PC. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Again, there is it's the trailer for the China PC release date trailer. Again, I think this game might be something good, but then again, the fact that it's launching on iOS and Android, I don't know what they're trying to do here in terms of monetization style here, because I see some multiplayer stuff happening around there. Again, I'm still not very sure what the final form of this game is. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it goes. I will try again to keep up, even though there is no Steam page for this game. I didn't find any. We'll have to wait and see how this goes. Then lately, we saw the Marvel Rivals launch, and supposedly they topped 10 million players in the first 72 hours, so in the first 3 days. Again, this is not a game for me. I'm not going to play this game for sure. But again, this is a 6v6 superhero PvP shooter. Again, it's not for me. Already top up 10 million players within this first 72 hours from going public. Again, I think this is kind of a free to play model kind of a thing there. So for sure we'll have a lot of cosmetic buys at least. But yeah, this is not a game for me. But similarly, this is coming from... The studio is not an American studio. I completely forgot which studio it is here, but I think it's or a Korean studio or something like that. But yeah, it seems to be going good. And again, a lot of people are salty about this. The fact that it's mostly, I think the thing is because of character designs. Again, supposedly it's a comparison between Concord and this kind of newest hero shooters trying to I don't know and these projects of $400 million trying to make some money and failing at that spectacularly, and the fact that this game already in 3 days managed to achieve 10 million players. Again, it's a good sign that at least people are enjoying these kind of games. And then on this last article here, we got again, I saw this on Twitter popping out here that this again, this activist supremacist people or I don't know, absolutism doesn't work very well, especially coming from the Perfect Dark level designer. So the Perfect Dark Reboot claims that this is an older claim that gamers were a mistake. Again, I think they missed the big picture here. Again, people tend to these kind of people tend to forget that gamers are customers, and when you are selling a product, you need to cater for the customer side of things, or at least the customer market. But again, nobody is forbidding you to try and appeal for a smaller slice of the market. But then again, you cannot expect huge financial success in that area. And yeah, the fact that it seems a trend that it's popping out from these guys here, that they are basically making games to I don't know, making games in a way for people don't play them, and they think this is a win in life. Again, and the fact that they are not even the the owners of the property. They are not even the directors of the studio. I think this kind of closed loop mentality doesn't serve well in the long run. The fact that you're trying to make a product for your prospect customer to hate it. Again, people are not going to hate play. This is not something, for example, that you can hate watch a video on YouTube, which the only thing that you're going to spend is time. It's the only investment in, for example, in a YouTube video that you can have for hate watching. The same thing can be said on for television or something like that. For you to have access to the game, you will need to pay it, and the fact that it's a product that the customer is paying it, they will be, because there is also that financial investment. People are, especially now in the recent years, are being more careful of the games that they choose to play. They will spend a little bit more time before the game comes out to see how the, I don't know, production cycle is going on, how the marketing is around that game, what are the opinions of other people. They can have a certain level of trust. And when the messaging, especially on the game that it's not out, I don't think we have a release date for this remake of Perfect Dark. The fact that you are already starting to put out this message that this game is not for you. And if we are making this game for you per se, you're not going to like it because it's not. It doesn't have anything to do, for example, with the IP itself. Again, I don't know what if again. As a developer, you already got your worth of time and work already paid, so it's on the company itself to try and recoup that investment on the development and marketing side, to try to recoup that with sales, because the development teams themselves already got paid. Usually that's how it works. They already got paid. They might have some bonuses in terms of sales if they manage to do something, a product pretty good, and if sales surpasses certain amount of sales, usually they might get a bonus out of it. But other than that, their salaries already got paid for when the time of the game comes out. So yeah, and this guy specifically, or lady, I don't know, depends on how he identifies himself, comes from started back in 2021 when God of War Ragnarok was out. Again, God of War Ragnarok had the Sweet Baby Inc. Consultancy there, and I think it's one of the reasons they supposedly changed his character again. On a game based on Nordic mythology, having a black character there usually doesn't fit the narrative there, because of how cultural heritage, let's say, in terms of how they their mythology works. Usually, if there is any kind of color character or color whatever, usually doesn't feature, is not feature in the sense that it has a prohibited role on the mythology itself, but whatever. It was basically, we'll have to assume until we have proof otherwise, that was Sweet Baby consultation advice in putting this character here. I don't, by the character itself, I don't have anything to say. I never played this soft reboot of God of War, but it is what it is. And then, of course, the Gamers Were a Mistake come from early this year, mainly because of the fact that Laura Bailey, on the death threat she received for a role as Abby on The Last of Us Part 2, comments there. The fact, again, I don't think death threats and this kind of dialogue works for either way. But the fact that you, to a certain extent, people also tend to forget that any kind of statement, even though you can do all the warning signs that your words represent your own thoughts and not the companies that you work for, you're always, as an employee, are representing to a certain extent, or at least that's the perception that everybody has, is that you are basically representing, in even in a smaller part, you're representing the company where you work for. That's why usually this kind of divisive kind of statements per se, saying that your own customer base is a mistake. You're not making a case to maintain your own job. But yeah, what can I say? And then all of this comes around with the so-called progressive and inclusive utopia that they propagandize and they don't follow up on, is the fact that everybody should be included, and everybody, we need to have diversity, unless it's always a but, or unless you are this and that, you are not welcome. Again, we all know how usually these kind of things work. Yeah, I don't think this game, again, it's another one to add to the list there, to put a check mark on, not going for a good way. I don't think this game, if they continue with this, it's same thing with Avowed. We're seeing a lot of stuff coming out also from Avowed. I try not to cover that this much drama here. Um, I don't have time, even though I usually follow up to see how the conversation is. I usually avoid commenting too much, but yeah, I don't like it because, again, my point of view is, you're making a product, an interactive product, and when you make a product, you have to always cater for the customer base that is available, not the customer base that you want to, or you wish to have when you make any kind of product. This includes games. Um, you might want to make any kind of product for the customer base that you wish that you had, but this will always fail. And in the end, when you put out successive failures, you're bound to get yourself out of a job. A lot of layoffs will for sure still happen on these studios, because they are using IPs and making games or products for a customer base they don't like, and they are hoping that they set up the trap of taking out these more known IPs to lure people to buy them and then hate them. I don't know what kind of objective that is, but yeah, this is how they work, and I don't have any much more to add up to this. But yeah, to wrap up today's episode, let's go for some gaming deals. We still have Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, 85% off until the 19th. I think this seems to be a pretty good game. I will eventually try out. I managed to claim it for free from Epic Game Store a few months ago, so it's on my slot to make a gaming series out of it, because I am very curious on trying this game out. Seems pretty good. Uh, we got also Blasphemous, 80% off. We got a demo here. I will probably try out this demo relatively soon, hopefully. I'm going first through my wish list and see what kind of demos are available on my wish list games. And this is one of those. We got No Man's Sky, 60% off. Again, excellent game. Overwhelming positive feedback from the community. And again, for this price, you got a full set of game and expansions that have been launching for free. We got Dome Keeper. Already installed the demo here. I will try out, I don't know when, but very soon, and see what this is all about. And it's 60% off on the base game. We got Forza Horizon 5. It seems the better, still after these years, 3 years or so since it launched, seems to be the better game for racing, even though it got a lot of editions and add-ons that pile up a little bit on the price, but at least the standard edition, so the base game, is 50% off. We got also Dredge, 50% off. Again, Lovecrafting storytelling on this game here. We got also Cocoon, 50% off, that mind-boggling puzzle game. Very interesting concepts there. One of those that eventually I will try out for sure. We got also Planet of Lana, 50% off. Seems pretty good. Storytelling by environment, on the environment itself. And yeah, it seems pretty good also. Then we got Pacific Drive. This one I really, really want to try out. And at this moment, the base game is 40% off. And lastly, we got Lies of P, 40% off on the on the base game. And then you got the Deluxe edition. Got this Buy Never Surrender Deluxe edition. And the ultimate this is a bundle, sorry. We got the deluxe edition 40% off, which includes the season pass. They already announced that they're going to launch a DLC next year, I think, or before the end of the year. I completely forgot, but yeah, the DLC is already planned to come out, so the deluxe edition will include that for sure. But yeah, other than that, this is what I got for you guys. I will just wrap up here with a plug on my Patreon for extra support. The extra support is for me to try and get around and get a better storage solution, so I can handle better and have space for the backups. The backups of stuff that I do for my clients, and of course some extra space for the videos that I do for the channel. And with all that said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. So until then, Kunamy Master out.